Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Afghan schoolgirls poisoned by the Taliban. Military gains sapping al-Qaeda's strength in Iraq. And British envoy targeted in Yemen. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now.
Scores of schoolgirls in Afghanistan were sent to the hospital after breathing poisonous gas. The Taliban is suspected of being involved in the poisoning of the girls as a means to scare them away from school. It is worth mentioning that similar attacks on girls in Afghanistan have taken place in the past.
This scandalous report on the violation of Afghan girls' right to attend school is not unheard of, especially in light of the Taliban's strong warning against educating girls in the remote areas that are under its control. The newest tactic to prevent girls from going to school is the spread of poisonous gas in their schools.
Poisoning schoolgirls is a horrible act that we consider to be a terrorist attack. Whoever tries to prevent girls from going to school is an enemy of Afghanistan.
According to Afghan authorities, more than 45 schoolgirls and a larger number of teachers fell suddenly ill, and most of them lost consciousness after breathing poisonous gas at a school in the province of Kunduz. The same thing happened in another school. However, in a phone call with the Reuters news agency, the Taliban denied having any link to the incident. A Taliban spokesman condemned the attack on the innocent schoolgirls. This incident is another reminder of the fragile situation in Afghanistan. A large number of girls' schools in the eastern and southern parts of the country are under the Taliban's control. These schools are still closed and the teachers are under constant threat.
The United Arab Emirates Foreign Minister Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan refused to back down in the face of Iranian anger and repeated his call for Tehran to end its occupation of the 3 disputed islands in the Gulf. During a visit with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah, Al Nahyan renewed calls on Tehran to end its occupation of the islands, saying that this will continue to impede Iran's relations with its Arab neighbors. Tehran criticized the minister's use of the word occupation as it equates it to the occupation of the Palestinian territories.
The position adopted by the UAE has always been centered on Iran's willingness to resolve this conflict in a calm and peaceful manner. We hope that the Iranians will see this conflict and this occupation as an obstacle to good relations between Iran and the UAE on one side and between Iran and its Arab neighbors on the other.
The U.S. military announced that al-Qaeda will face difficulties in reorganizing and recruiting volunteers to carry out suicide bombings in Iraq. U.S. Brigadier General Ralph Baker said that there are less charismatic and combat-proven leaders that remain in al-Qaeda in Iraq, indicating that the killing of Abu Omar al-Baghdadi and Abu Ayyub al-Masri was a decapitation of its leadership.
في غضون ذلك تستمر القوات الأمنية في محافظتي الأنبار وديالى بتنفيذ عمليتين.
Meanwhile, Iraqi security forces launched 2 new offensives in the Anbar and Diyala provinces to pursue al-Qaeda remnants in the area of Haud Himrin. The Anbar provincial police chief announced the launch of a wide-scale security campaign in 5 cities in the province. More than 23 wanted suspects, including a high-ranking al-Qaeda operative and 5 al-Qaeda members, have been arrested in the area of Al-Thathar. The area of Haud Himrin is reportedly a key al-Qaeda stronghold.
على الصعيد السياسي أبلغت المفوضية العليا المستقلة للانتخابات.
On the political front, the Independent High Electoral Commission demanded an Iraqi review panel explain its decision for a vote recount. The president of the High Electoral Commission, Farash Haidari, said in a statement to al-Arabiya that the vote recount will affect all ballots cast in the special elections and by the expatriates. He added that the process will affect the results of all Iraqi provinces.
The vote recount and screening will affect all ballots cast in the special elections. This will impact votes cast by members of the armed forces and the security agencies. It will also affect votes cast by the hospital staff and prisoners, as well as Iraqi expatriates. The process will directly impact the results in all Iraqi provinces, which will affect the country's overall results.
An Iraqi review panel threw the results of the country's election into question by invalidating votes cast for 52 candidates. The move could threaten the slim lead of a Sunni-backed alliance. It was not immediately clear how many of the candidates barred for alleged ties to the banned Baath party had won seats in the March 7th ballot. If the result changed, the decision could spark anger among Sunnis just as sectarian violence recedes. A senior member of the cross-sectarian Iraqi alliance, which gained a 2-seat lead in the election, dismissed the ruling of the review panel as politically motivated. But he said the Iraqi led by former Prime Minister Iyad Allawi did not expect to lose any of its 91 seats in the next 325-seat parliament. A lawyer for Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki's State of Law coalition, which came second, said he believed 2 or 3 winners could be affected. The panel's decision could also change the result. The lack of a clear result has led to political uncertainty as Shiite-led, Sunni-backed and Kurdish factions try to negotiate tie-ups that would allow them to gain a working majority and pick the next government.
Our Al Jazeera correspondent in Sana'a said that a suicide bombing targeted the British ambassador's vehicle while he was heading to the embassy in the Yemeni capital.
Yemeni security sources confirmed that Ambassador Tim Torlett was not hurt and that the attack resulted in the death of the suicide bomber and only damaged the car of the British diplomat. The same source said that the attack was linked to al-Qaeda. The British embassy has been closed since the incident.
Our correspondent Hamni Bukhari reports from Sana'a on the details of the incident and the latest security development.
Here, near the British embassy in Sana'a, a man blew himself up as the British ambassador's car was passing. The man was blown to pieces, but no one in the vehicle was hurt.
He was walking, and when the British ambassador's car passed on the street, he detonated the bomb. Several of his body parts were scattered over here.
We saw a man carrying it like this, and then it exploded. It was a powerful explosion, and we saw it happen in the middle of the street at 7:30 or 7:45.
The British embassy announced that the attack only caused some damage to the car. However, the embassy is closed until further notice. Security agencies announced the launch of an investigation into the incident, indicating that it had characteristics of an al-Qaeda attack.
This bombing appears to have failed in its timing and execution, which often happens in these criminal and terrorist operations. These attacks are horrifying and unjust, and they are condemned by the people, the society, and the government.
Despite the tightened security measures on foreign embassies, the attack on the British ambassador's car brings back the discussion of the effectiveness of these measures.
Before this incident, the new strategy was to shift the focus from the group's elements abroad to those local elements. Through this operation, al-Qaeda wanted to send a message that it is still functioning and is still capable of operating and moving around Yemen.
This discussion came within the framework of the intensified war launched by the authorities against al-Qaeda throughout the country. It indicates that the danger of having foreign facilities targeted still looms, especially since 2 years ago al-Qaeda launched attacks against the U.S. Embassy. The Yemeni authorities are at war on several fronts, but their battle against al-Qaeda does not seem to be coming to an end anytime soon. Hamdi Bakari, Al Jazeera, Sana'a.
The Palestinian Authority claims to have foiled planned terrorist attacks by Hamas. A PA security official in Ramallah told Ynet that following the arrest of a top Hamas operative, the suspect led them to several weapons caches in the town of Nablus, where they found hundreds of kilograms of explosives, ammunition, and a variety of weapons. The discovery was described as the largest Hamas cache of weapons and explosives ever uncovered by the Palestinian Authority. The PA official told reporters that Hamas intended to attack targets in the West Bank and in Israel in hopes of igniting the region and thwarting attempts to restart the peace process. U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, George Mitchell, will apparently be returning to the region next week. Mitchell said his talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Palestinians were productive and positive, and he promised to continue efforts to improve the atmosphere toward the opening of proximity talks. After his last meeting with Netanyahu, the American envoy said, "I look forward to continuing our efforts to achieve comprehensive peace and security in the region, including a two-state solution." White House spokesman J.P. Crowley said U.S. Ambassador David Hale will remain in the region and work with the parties this week to prepare for Mitchell's return next week. But the Palestinians' agreement to join the talks still depends on backing from the Arab League. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is scheduled to meet the leaders of the Arab League to discuss these latest developments. Although indirect talks seem likely to resume in the coming weeks, there is little optimism that the sides will be able to bridge the gaps on the core issues. Meanwhile, in New York City, thousands of Jews gathered outside the Israeli consulate yesterday to protest President Barack Obama's positions toward Israel, as we see in this report.
For the first time since the growing strain in relations between the Obama administration and Israel, a protest rally was held by Israeli advocates to support Israel's right to build and live in its own country, according to organizers of yesterday's demonstration in New York City. Some 1,500 people from up and down the East Coast marched in front of the Israeli consulate on 42nd Street and 2nd Avenue in Manhattan, worried that strained relations could lead to lasting scars. The rally also highlighted Israel's right to unite Jerusalem under Israeli sovereignty, as well as protest what they consider the Obama administration's disregard of its Middle East ally.
The Jewish community is infuriated with President Barack Obama and his administration because of the very shocking policy shift that he's had in recent days in regards to Israel and the Middle East.
We have to let the Obama administration know that their terrible policies towards Israel, their dangerous policies, cannot go unchallenged, that there are voices out there that must be heard. We are very displeased with it, and we find it to be more than tragic. It's dangerous.
The demonstration included a taped statement by former New York City Mayor Ed Koch, who recently said that he believes the Obama administration is willing to throw Israel under the bus in order to please Muslim nations. In this video, Koch slammed the Jewish members of Congress for its lack of response.
What concerns me more than everything I've just told you is the silence. The silence is deafening. Where are the Jewish Democrats, and there's only one Jewish Republican in the House of Representatives? Where are they on this issue? Do you see them getting up every day and denouncing what the president did? No.
Over 20 organizations, including grassroots organization Tea Party 365 and other Jewish and non-Jewish groups, united to support the event, which was called Break the Silence and Stand with Israel. Ellie Wogelanter, IBA News.
Israeli Israeli forces have killed a Palestinian official in the occupied West Bank city of al-Khalil and destroyed his home. Israel's army radio says an exchange of fire took place when Israeli soldiers tried to force their way into the man's house. The Palestinian was a member of Hamas. Now tensions are running high in al-Khalil. The city is regularly rocked by clashes between Israeli settlers and Palestinians. About 165,000 Palestinians live in that city. Now Israeli soldiers control parts of its center where about 400 Israeli settlers live. Many of the settlers are armed and under the protection of the Israeli military. Well, the Syrian president has met with UAE foreign minister for talks on bilateral relations. Bashir al-Assad and Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan have discussed Arab solidarity and security among stability in the region. Now, Syria and the UAE have established ties in commerce, agriculture, and transport. Now to Pakistan, where a U.S. drone attack has killed at least 8 people in the northwestern part of that country. Pakistani officials say the raid took place in the Khurs Ali Torkhel area of North Waziristan Tribal Agency. They say a militant compound near the Afghan border was targeted. Several others have also been injured during that incident. Hundreds of people have been killed by U.S. airstrikes in Pakistan during the past 2 years. Washington claims the attacks target militants, but most of the victims of the raids have been civilians. Now, Islamabad has repeatedly condemned the airstrikes, saying they violate Pakistan's sovereignty. Now, Iran's President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has criticized the right of veto held by the permanent members of the UN Security Council. Speaking to the commanders of Iran's security forces, Ahmadinejad said the UN Security Council has turned into a tool for evildoers. He added that today humanity needs ethics and culture, not nuclear arms and other destructive weapons. Ahmadinejad said the problems facing humanity stem from the fact that most of the world's wealth and power are in the hands of uncultivated and unethical parties. Ahmadinejad has added and criticized the U.S.'s attitude towards other countries. Iran's president said the U.S. policy of humiliating other nations is a failure. Remaining in Iran, which has successfully wrapped up major military drills in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran has held the 4th and final day of major military drills in the Persian Gulf waters and the strategic Strait of Hormuz. In the last phase, the Islamic Revolution's Guards Corps, or IRGC forces, successfully test-fired several domestically made naval missiles. Among them were Nasr with a range of over 300 kilometers and Noor Smart missile with a range of 120 kilometers. Naval, air, and ground units from the IRGC participated in the 4-day military exercises. On Saturday, IRGC ground forces used smart artillery munitions in the 3rd phase of the drills, which mainly focused on defending Persian Gulf coasts and islands. The drills also included operations involving mine-carrying divers and rocket-launching vessels. Home-built drones capable of detecting and intercepting intruding aircraft were also successfully test-flown during the military exercises. Iran says the maneuvers were part of its defense program aimed at maintaining peace and security in the Persian Gulf region.
Thousands of Palestinian citizens took to the streets yesterday in a massive demonstration organised by Hamas in the northern Gaza Strip. The demonstration was held in solidarity with political prisoners in Israeli jails who started a hunger strike in support of the Aqsa demonstrators.
This scene started after the Friday prayers in the northern Gaza Strip. A massive demonstration was called for by Hamas to show support for the political prisoners in the jails of the Zionist occupation.
They all have patience and strength. God willing, their shackles will be lifted, and God willing, the chains will be removed.
With the help of the sublime and almighty God, the fighters and the negotiators will succeed in liberating you, God willing, the sublime and almighty. Therefore, we put all of our faith in the almighty God, and then in the jihad and the resistance.
Over here, the prisoners' children set up a mock court to try Benjamin Netanyahu and Ehud Barak.
I, along with 10,000 others, would like to give the prisoners a breath of life. They were deprived and removed from their families because of injustice and aggression. Those criminals deprived us of the love of our fathers and the arms of our mothers.
The case is clear as sunlight, and at least from the perspective of these people, this is the most appropriate verdict.
The court has decided to remove all Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails.
But that can only be achieved by force. In the Brej camp in the middle of the Strip, Hamas hosted this festival in honor of the political prisoners and their families, and to reaffirm its commitment to their liberation.
We in the Hamas organization will not give up or put an end to our efforts, and we will not hide the possibility of liberating our political prisoners. The hands of the resistance are free to do as they please in order to liberate the prisoners.
The Palestinians insist on working for the cause and showing the world the suffering of the thousands of political prisoners. Ibrahim Zaim, Al-Aqsa, Gaza, Palestine.
Egypt's head of the animal production sector, Dr. Tawfiq Chalabi, announced that an agreement was reached with the Principal Bank for Development and Agriculture to give farmers loans of up to 50,000 Egyptian pounds. Dr. Tawfiq Chalabi indicated that these accommodations are aimed at increasing the number of cattle raised in order to bridge the gap between the demand and the supply.
It takes 1 year for this cow to fully grow, but fattening it so it weighs 400 kilograms is not an easy task to achieve.
I spend about 300 to 400 Egyptian pounds to feed one cow.
We received a subsidy, but we started having trouble when that subsidy stopped.
And while there needs to be a solution to the financial problems facing the farmers, for some, the process of fattening the cattle has not changed for many years. According to the latest reports, more than 80% of these farms are owned by small farmers.
Some of the cows have good genes. In turn, they grow more than 1.3 kilos a day. Those that are not from a good stock might only grow 900 grams.
We need someone to stand by us and make cattle feed less expensive so we can have some peace of mind. This is what we need. If this were to happen, we could raise more cattle.
Although some farmers stopped fattening their cattle due to an increase in the prices of cattle feed, others complain about the greediness of the butchers, saying that they contribute to the crisis. They reiterate that they sell a kilo of beef for 19 pounds.
The butchers take the meat from us at extremely low prices. They take advantage of us and sell 1 kilo for 250 pounds.
The project of fattening the cattle is known as the Betello Project and was implemented by the government in the 1980s, but was suspended in the 1990s. Then, it emerged once again by granting loans of up to 300,000 pounds.
Every year we give out 50 million pounds in loans. Now, the project has 100 million that is ready to be loaned.
According to this strategy, developing the animal production sector seems to be going in the right direction, but quick steps are needed, especially considering that these farmers own 80 million head of cattle.
Away from the burden of its daily reality, the West Bank hosted the 5th annual Contemporary Dance Festival, featuring Palestinian life with both its sweet and bitter tastes. 16 foreign and Arab musical ensembles took part in the Ramallah Festival, which included musical shows and dance performances premiering in Ramallah, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, and Hebron. The festival attracted an unprecedented number of Palestinians who seemed to be thirsty for some entertainment. Our correspondent, Sharouk Assad, reports from Ramallah.
Even if only for a short time, they left their daily hardships and headed to the Ramallah Cultural Palace to take part in the Contemporary Dance Festival in hopes of bringing joy to their hearts that have been aching for fun.
This festival is very important for us. The festival will allow us to engage in a cultural exchange with the world. Politically speaking, it's very important for us to host international ensembles and artists. This way, we can get to know the Palestinian people and their plight.
16 Palestinian, Arab, and foreign troops participated in the Ramallah Festival. They hosted artistic plays and musical performances that echoed across the audience hall. From Tunisia to Palestine, a performance titled An Olive Leaf premiered at the Ramallah Cultural Palace. At the opening ceremony, the US-based City Dance Ensemble performed an exceptional play, which was about determination, affection, love, the acceptance of others, and the breaking of barriers.
We're two people who don't know each other.
We are two peoples who don't know each other. We only know each other through newscasts. As nations, we don't have any relations. I believe culture and art can change minds, hearts, and their way of life.
The 5th annual Ramallah Contemporary Dance Festival witnessed an unprecedented turnout. This festival included dance performances that premiered in Ramallah, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, and Hebron, with the participation of a large number of Palestinians across the West Bank.
When a person is invited to a place like this, where they get an opportunity to meet artists like these and enjoy their fine arts, their life takes a turn for the better.
For the Palestinians, the festival has built a bridge between them and the world of contemporary dance. Sharouk Assad, Dubai TV, from the Ramallah Cultural Palace.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible from support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news. Read our blog. Get transcripts of past shows and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.